Hola. Desafío de los equipos autogestionados. El principal desafío es que algunos equipos autogestionados tienen éxito y muchos fracasan. No existe consistencia, incluso los equipos que tienen éxito no se mantienen por mucho tiempo. Recesión Económica. Aunque estos equipos suelen ser muy competitivos, cuando llega una recesión económica se convierten en un objetivo fácil. La dirección prefiere cerrar plantas con menos personal, menos costos indirectos y menor riesgo. Ejemplo, plant Volvo Uddevalla, planta GM Nini. Investigación. Académicos y la industria han probado muchas combinaciones de equipos autogestionados. Ha habido éxitos y fracasos. Esta evolución comenzó alrededor de 1960. El éxito de los este depende de muchos variables y la cultura organizacional es la vez más importante. Falta de metálica estándar. No existe una metálica estándar para los equipos autogestionados. Tampoco es posible replicar fácilmente este modelo entre equipos de diferentes países, culturas u organizations.
Self-managing organizations, the good, the bad and the ugly. I've been speaking and writing a lot about self-managing organizations, and because of that I've seen and spoken to a lot of self-managed organizations. And I feel these are the 4 key ingredients to make self-organization a success. The first one is that leadership has to believe in it. If they don't, it will always fail. The second thing is that you have to trust the people around you. You've got to trust their expertise, you've got to trust their experience, and you've got to believe that they have good intentions by default. It's very important that trust is given by default to everybody. It's not something you need to earn. The third important factor is that everything is open and transparent by default. There can't be any hidden information or hidden agendas or any politics. The final thing is that clarity is key. You've got to create clarity about everything.
Resistencia al cambio. Existe una gran resistencia del nivel medio de la gerencia. Muchos gerentes temen perder su rol de supervisión y su posición. Sin embargo, los supervisores y gerentes con alto desempeño pueden asumir el rol de coach local. Genera satisfacción personal. Aumente el aprendizaje y el conocimiento.
Let's move on to the biggest mistakes and pitfalls. The thing I see happening most is that former managers stop leading. Managers are often the most experienced people in a team, and they often have a lot of leadership skills. If you want teams to manage themselves, you have to transfer that information and that knowledge onto the team. And that's where you as a former manager still have to help the team out.
Capacitación y reglas. La falta de capacitación, el intento de crear equipos de alto desempeño en poco tiempo con una mentalidad limitada lleva al fracaso. Estos equipos colapsan cuando no hay supervisión directa, seguimiento y control. No existen mecanismos claros de monitoría para los este. Además, se debían eliminar evaluaciones y auditorías tradicionales, ya que van en contra del proceso de constitución de confianza. El comportamiento del equipo debe observarse, darse seguimiento diario y que es normal que tenga altos y bajos. Dependencia del fundador. Este módulo no se mantiene cuando el fundador o incidir de que la organización. El conjunto pierde prioridad. Existen pocas instituciones donde la autogestionación forma parte del sistema como Navy SEALs, Ejército de la India. En estas instituciones, el modelo esté en el manual de reglas con una dirección clara para su implementación y continuidad.
Now let's move on to the biggest disadvantages, the bad of self-managing organizations. In traditional organizations, managers manage people. In a self-managed organization, that is gone. There are no longer people to manage other people. But a good manager also develops the team and the people working in a team. That part is also gone. The best way to cope with this is to make feedback and self-development part of your default, part of your culture. There's one organization that did this really well, and that is Netflix. They make sure that feedback is part of your work from the day you start working at Netflix, and it's a huge inspiration for us. The second thing you'll see is that you'll try a lot of new stuff. And if you try new stuff you've never done before, you will make mistakes. You have to be okay with the fact that you're gonna make mistakes. And if you bring a how can I help attitude to the problem, you'll see that people learn a lot and put all their effort into fixing the issue. Another thing to take into account is that there will be a phase where making big decisions is tough for people. People have to learn that if they are accountable, they can make decisions. And people have to learn to trust each other in making those big decisions and separating the role people hold from the soul that people have. The final thing you have to realize is that you will spend more time on communication. In traditional organizations, the board or management teams communicate one level down, so it only has to be clear for the level beneath them. In organizations without managers, everybody that is involved and touched by a decision you make has to understand the situation and the solution you brought to the table.
¿Qué debemos hacer para enfrentar estos desafíos? Debemos reconocer los desafíos, trabajar activamente para reducirlos, cambios de mentalidad. Hamaz Khan habla sobre el cambio del modo tradicional de trabajo a un nuevo estilo para el futuro.
We began, for better or for worse, to perfect management. We began to develop theories about it. And one such theorist by the name of Peter Drucker began to notice something. He began to notice something that was a bit of a paradigm shift. He saw that we were moving away from the mere production of goods and the provision of advanced services to the use and manipulation of information. He coined the phrase knowledge work. He said, the most valuable asset of a 21st century institution, whether business or non-business, will be its knowledge workers and their productivity. And so what we need is a new managerial contract. Because when you consider that when all of the value in an organization walks out of the door each evening, the old command and control mindset is not going to work anymore. The existing model doesn't make any sense. It does not make sense for creative agencies, it does not make sense for startups, and so it behooves managers of the next generation to develop a focus on management with a distinctly Theory Y approach. In order to understand and appreciate Theory Y, you first have to understand and appreciate Theory X. Theory X assumes a lot of things. It assumes that employees are lazy, that they avoid work, and that they actually dislike work. It's kind of like when your parents assigned you tasks or chores when you were younger, do the lawn, do the dishes, and you'd rather be doing other things. Theory Y assumes the complete opposite. Theory Y assumes that employees are ambitious, that they're self-motivated, that they exercise self-control, and that they actually enjoy their physical and mental duties. And that given the proper conditions, an employer operating within a Theory Y framework can actually help their employees achieve the most elusive part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that little point at the top of the triangle, self-actualization. But that's all given the proper conditions. So what do those proper conditions look like?
Conclusión. Ahora necesitamos extender mejor las teorías y, primero, cómo construir equipos autogestionados. Segundo, cómo mantenerlos el precio. Cómo sostenerlos el tiempo. Gracias.